Hi, I'm Rob Stiff of Magic Makers Incorporated, and welcome to Complete Card Magic. On this series of DVDs, you will get everything from beginner all the way to expert extreme card magic. Now, in addition to great card magic, you will be taught by the very best, Jerry Griffin. So without further ado, the magic and the mystery of Jerry Griffin.
I think it's time to do a little betting game here. I think I need the help of somebody to help in this little betting game. Excellent. I'll give the cards a quick shuffle. I won't look. I want you to just touch any one of those cards you like. Draw it completely out of there. In fact, take a good long look at that card. Make sure I don't catch a glimpse of it, but be sure that you show it to your friends as well. That's good. And why don't you just drop it right back. Here, let me shuffle the cards a little bit more. That's a good spot. Excellent. Now, the card has been returned to the pack. It is somewhere in here. And I'm just going to go by the sense of touch, I think it is. Sense of touch. Let me see. No, not those. No. I know it's here somewhere. You see, I can tell, I don't know if you know this, but I can tell what the card is just by the sense of touch. I thought I was getting close there for a moment, but no. Oh, I'm getting very close. In fact, the feelings are getting much stronger as to what, yes. In fact, I get an extremely strong feeling about this. Yeah. In fact, I am so positive that I would be happy to make a bet with you. In fact, I am so positive that the next card I turn over is your card. I'd be happy to wager a few dollars on this. But why don't we just make it a gentleman's bet? You ready to go with me on this one? I think you are. In fact, the next card I turn over is, I do believe, your card. How about that? I think I won the bet. Thank you, gentlemen. This is a classic bet type card trick. It uses a key card. In this case, the key card will be our bottom card, whatever that happens to be. You can ask your audience to shuffle the cards if you like. Now, you tell them you will spread the cards apart and have them select a card. Ooh, let me turn those cards face down. That's how I catch a glimpse of the bottommost card, in this case, the 10 of hearts. I now spread the cards between my hands, offer the cards for a selection. The audience selects a card at random, truly at random. And now, of course, they look at the card. Remember to tell your audience, please take great care not to let me see what that card is. Of course, you as the magician will turn your head to the side so that you cannot see the card at all. This is very important. So the audience has remembered what their card is. You can now cut the cards into small packs on the table like this. And when they say stop, you ask them to return their card. It goes into the pack. And now remember, the key card, in this case the 10 of hearts, will go on top, just like that. You now give the cards a squaring. You can pause for a moment. If you want, you can allow the audience to cut the cards a couple of times, because this will not ruin the fact or change where that 10 of hearts is in relationship to the key card. Face up, for example, remember this. There's the 10 of hearts, and there is our selected card. Even if the cards were cut face down, this is exposed and the 10 of hearts is right here. Another cutting will put those cards back together again. Now for the finish of this mystery. I will start turning over cards one at a time as I'm going. I'm acting as though I am looking for maybe a psychic revelation or a vibration or a feel. What I am doing, of course, is I'm actually looking for my key card. This is all an acting job. As soon as I spot that key card go, I know that the next card will be the card the audience selected. Now you must not hesitate at this point. Just keep dealing cards onto the table until you've gone a number of cards past the actual selection. Once you've gone past a number of cards like this, now you begin to slow down. Ooh, wait a minute. You seem to be getting a psychic vibration or something like that. You can pause for a moment if you want. No, I don't think that's it. Oh no, this is definitely it. Yes, I am really getting a very strong impression. You now tell your audience, ladies and gentlemen, the next card I turn over is your card. How about that? In fact, you can even bet your audience that fact if you like. Bet them a drink, whatever. But the audience will believe that you are going to turn over this one. You can rub this and you say, yes, remember exactly what I said. I'll bet you the next card I turn over is your card. The audience thinks you're going to turn over this one, at which point you reach out, pull their card off the table, and merely turn it over, having turned over the next card, and it is their card. A classic little bet type of card trick using the key card. I think it's time to have another card selected. Yeah, let's see. I'll spread the cards out. The gentleman right here, if you would, just draw any one of those cards out. That looks like a good choice. Please remember your card and show it to the gathered multitude. Excellent. I'll give the cards a few cuts like this, and just drop your card back. Right about there is good. Interesting. Watch what happens to that card. Into the pack it goes. In a second, I will give it a spread look. Instantaneously, one card reverses itself. Isn't that incredible? Your card. Amazing, isn't it? That wasn't it? Well, you know, these things seem to happen from time to time. In fact, I do believe that this is an indicator card. I think it indicates that our mystery has gone completely awry. But you know, if I use that 5 and see what it does indicate, 5, let me spell it out for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your card? I do believe. The selected card. By the way, I'm sorry about that mistake over here. In fact, I'd like to try to make it up to you. So if you're a poker player, I know you'll appreciate the following. How about that? A king high, 4 of a kind. Pretty good if I say so myself. For our simple card revelation, you do need a small setup. What I do is I take one numbered card, in this case the 5, and it goes on the bottom of the deck. Now you also pull out the 4 aces. For example, these cards now go underneath that reversed 5. This is your setup. Now the cards are squared, and you're now going to have a card selected. Remember, you can spread the cards between your hands. Just make sure you don't spread down so far that the audience sees the reversed 5 on the bottom. Offer the cards, and please ask your audience politely to have a card selected. These cards are returned together like this. The audience now remembers whatever card they have selected. I now continue by cutting small packs of cards to the table and ask my audience to say stop whenever they like. As soon as they say stop, you do so. The card is returned in that position. Remember exactly where on the bottom of the pack that 5 and the aces are. That now goes on top, and like a key card principle, the 5 with the 4 aces are above it, and the 5th card down is the audience's selected card. I now make a pretty big deal out of the fact that I will snap my fingers, I will ribbon spread the cards on the table, and look, their card is instantly reversed right in the center of the deck. Isn't that amazing, you say? Of course, your audience will look at you as if maybe you have lost your mind, or at least simply enough, that is not my card. Of course, now you act a little bit puzzled and perplexed. Gee, that isn't your card. You're a little saddened by that fact. You say, wait a minute, maybe the 5 is trying to tell us then something. So you slide all the cards above it off to the side. Picking up this group, you say the 5. Well, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards down, and look, there it is, the selected card. There is your revelation. However, a secondary finish would be is to say, now that I have dealt 5 cards down, and there is our queen, their selected card, the mystery seems to be over. I deal that card forward and say, there it is, look, 5 cards away, your queen of clubs. The audience will think the mystery is over, but now you continue. You push these cards to the side for a moment and you say, by the way, I'd like to make it up to you. And if you're a poker player, you would definitely like to have the 4 aces. Another little extra finish for a simple card revelation. Well, I just happen to have a deck of cards with me today. How convenient. I think I need to have a card selected, if you would. Please, of course, remember your card. Show it to everyone, please. Well, maybe not everyone, just these nice people here. Great. And go ahead and drop your card right there in the pack. Perfect. You've heard the saying, the eyes are the window to the soul. I think you've heard that saying before. Let me stare into your eyes for a minute and see what I can see. Size 9. I'm sorry, the wrong soul. That was your shoe size. Let me look in there again. Yes, I think I have the card that you were thinking of. I can see it right in your eyes. In fact, I do believe that it was a black card, the club. Yes, the queen of clubs. I think the eyes are the window to the soul. The eyes are the window to the soul. Here is our explanation. The deck is in no particular order. The cards are random, and you are ready to start as soon as the cards come out of the box. You can allow your audience to even shuffle the cards if you like. You're going to catch a glimpse of the bottom card. This will be our key card. An easy way to do this, of course, is to have a card selected while the audience is looking at that, and remind them to make sure you don't get to see the card. They will remember the card, and as you gesture pointing, say, take a look at your card. This is when you catch a glimpse of the bottom card. So now the card is returned to the deck, and you cut the cards to the table. The card is replaced, and now the key card goes right on top of their selected card. Remember, there's the key card, and it goes right on top. You can square the cards up. You're now ready to perform. You tell your audience, reminding them, of course, that remember, the eyes are the window to the soul. So now you look your audience member deeply into the eyes, and you say, size 8. Now there's just a tiny little chuckle. You say, excuse me, wrong soul. That was the sole of your shoes. But somewhere in this pack is your card. Somewhere in this deck. Now what I do is I casually run through the cards as I'm talking. Now I'm looking for my key card, which of course is the 8 of spades. As I run through, as I quickly run past it, I'm going to look at the card just above it, and remember, that's the card, their card, that I want. I want to do this casually and quickly. Say, remember, your card is somewhere in this deck. Don't forget your card. Let me stare into your eyes one more time. Now you become serious, and as you look in their eyes, you now divine the card. Interesting. The red 2, the 2 of hearts. Incredible. I guess the eyes are the window to the soul. I have just seen your card. So there is a very nice, slightly comical at the beginning, but presentation of a standard card revelation. Well, I think it's time to show you how modern science has helped me find cards. I know that sounds kind of thrilling, and well, we'll see what happens. I do need to have a card selected, so if you would just touch any one of those. Pull it out, remember the card, show it to all these nice people. Excellent. And just pop it right back in. Perfect. Somewhere in the deck is your card. Now, there's no possible way any of us could know. Well, you could, but not me. So I'm going to do the following. I'll spread these cards out. That looks pretty good, about like that. And if you would, just put your hand right out here onto the table. The palm up, that's perfect. That way I can check your pulse. Oh, good, you have a pulse. Excellent. That's good. Had me worried for a minute. Now, as I move my hand across the cards, I find that yeah, it's weird. The pulse seems to quicken right about here. I do get the impression your card is in this group. Let me just separate a few cards off in here. In fact, as I narrow it down, yes, it's getting a little bit faster right there. You see, you can't lie. It's just like a lie detector almost. It seems strongest right there. Your pulse quickens. Jack of Spades, that was your card?
Yep.
I thought so. Let's do another pick a card trick. In this case, how we find the selected card is through the pulse on the wrist of our audience member. This is a key card mystery, of course. The card on the face of the deck is the key card that we will use to identify whatever the selected card is. I'll show you another method here of identifying the key card. The cards are at random order. They can even be shuffled by a spectator. Your audience now selects a card. Now that the audience has selected a card, you ask them to look at it and make sure they do not let you see the card. While they have that card, you start placing small packs onto the table. As you do this, you stop at some point and say, why don't you drop your card into the pack? As you grab this pack, you just gesture. Right about there would be nice. At this steep angle that I look down as I use this as a pointer, I can catch a glimpse of the face card of this pack. You can also hold the cards from above and say, why don't you place your card there on the pack? That gives me a glimpse of my key card. This card is now returned to the pack. I pop those cards on top, and the key card is right next to their selected card. Now they have remembered their card, and now you are going to divine the selection. Here's how you go about it. Remember, in the pack, of course, where my 8 of spades is, the card just to the right of it, the card on top of here is the selected card, in this case the 9 of diamonds. So now what I do is I ribbon spread the cards from my right to the left across the table. Make sure you spread the cards well enough so, of course, you can see the key card. Now I would then take my spectator by the wrist, and I'm going to hold my fingers against their pulse, apparently. And now as I move their hand across the cards like this, I tell them I am going to, by just feeling the pulse, whenever it gets near their card, their pulse will slightly increase. You now can tell them it seems to be increasing right about here. Of course, you're doing this above where the key card is. I can now narrow it down, and I would separate the cards, getting rid of some of these. I can now enhance the presentation by dragging it out just a little bit longer. I can say, yes, the pulse seems to increase right about the center here, and ultimately, of course, you come to stop right on their selected card. So you have apparently found their card just by the variation in the pulse. It's not a magical effect, but it is very magical in nature that somehow you could tell by their pulse where the selected card was. I'd like to show you a mystery where a gentleman will merely think of a card, and I will magically find it. I happen to have a deck of cards on the table. I'm going to deal them into 3 rows of cards. The gentleman here, if you would, as you look at the cards on the table, I'd like you to think of any one of these cards. Think of any one of those cards, and just if you would, gesture which row it's in. The card you are thinking of is in that row. In fact, I will turn away so I can't see and just point out the card to our friends at home so they can see what the card is. I promise not to peek. Excellent. You've done that? Very good, very good. I'm going to deal these cards out again onto the table. And I would like you to once again look at the rows. Just think of where your card happens to be. You see your card out there? You do. Excellent. Which row does it happen to be in? Ah, down in this row. One of these cards is a card you are merely thinking of. Excellent. I'll deal them out one more time for the psychic forces to truly kick in. As you scan across these cards looking for your card, allow the psychic center of your brain to reach out and tell me what the card is you are thinking of. In fact, which row is it in? It's in the center row this time. Concentrate on your card, if you would. I get the very strongest impression you are definitely thinking of a red card, correct? Right. In fact, I do get the strongest impression that it is a red number card, in fact. In fact, I do believe it is somewhere right here. It is not that one. I do believe you chose the 3 of diamonds.
Yep.
How about that? Psychic powers are with us today. Well, this is the 21 card trick, or as it's sometimes known, the trick that uses 3 rows of 7. The deck is in a random order. It does not matter. There is no preparation when it comes to the order of these cards. You will now deal 21 cards into 3 rows of 7. Like this, going from left to right, across, until you have 3 rows. That's 4, 5, 6, and now 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in each row. Once you have the cards dealt out like this, you are going to ask your audience to remember any one of these cards. Now, here's the key to how this works. It does not matter what card they remember in any one of these 3 rows. The key is this. Just for the sake of this explanation, let's say they remember and are thinking of the Ace of Hearts. You would merely ask them, which row, don't tell me the card, but which row are you thinking of a card in? Your audience would then point to this row. You now take the cards, squaring them up, and all you have to do is make sure that this pile goes in between these 2. In other words, you would pick them up like that. So now it's in the middle. Turn the piles over and deal once again 3 rows of 7. This is a mathematical mystery in exactly how it works. As you are dealing the cards out once again, you ask your audience to look for their selected card. And if you would, just merely tell me which row it's in. Of course, your audience, and it just happens to be, once again, in this row, for the sake of this demonstration, the Ace of Hearts. Once again, you would merely proceed in the same fashion. For example, let's say if their card happened to be over here, and it very well could be, You would proceed as I mentioned moments ago. You pick the cards up like this, making sure that their group of cards is in the middle. You need to, for the mathematical principle to work, deal the cards out one more time. Upon the third time that you deal these cards, you are going to know which card it is once they point out the row. And of course, they are going to point out the middle row. Mathematically, it just works out that the selected card will be fourth down from the top. That will be the ace of hearts. You can now proceed in a couple of different ways to produce the card. You can ask them, which row does your card happen to be in? They now point to this row. You instantly know which one it is. You now square these up. The card will now be 11 cards down from the top. You can do it as follows if you like. You can deal 1, 2, 3, counting to yourself, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, as if you were trying to feel for the cards, 10, 11, and there it would be the ace of hearts. So since it is 11 cards down, you can do it that way if you like, almost as if you're feeling for what their card is. Or you could merely scoop up the cards, put a hand on top, get the psychic vibration, and now divine what their card is. It's a red card, it's a powerful card, it's an ace, the ace of hearts. That would be a great way to finish off the 21 card trick. A simple card divination with a mathematical principle of performing the mystery. Well, I'd like to show you one of the more amazing senses that the human beings have that is really relatively unknown. Let me just demonstrate. I do need a card selected if I could have the kind help of a helping hand. There we are. Take the card out. Please remember your card, of course. And just go ahead and put it back. Right there is good. Excellent. Perfect. You, of course, everyone knows of the sense of sight and smell and sound and touch. But there's one sense that a lot of people aren't familiar with, and that is the sense of bite. I know that sounds very weird, so let's see. Let me take a few cards out of here, and we'll just, well, let's see. This looks like a good group of cards. Yeah, I think this will work just perfectly. Let's see, the sense of bite. No, that's not it. Let's see, let me try again. No, that's not it, definitely not it. No, that wasn't your card either, was it? No, that wasn't it. Let me see, it's somewhere here. Oh, I think I got something there. I think I lost a tooth. That 9 of clubs? That was it?
Yep.
How about that? The sense of bite. Now here's a very nice, simple, truly unexpected card revelation, which I call crunch. Now to do this, you can either use a cough drop, something like this, or an uncooked macaroni noodle works extremely well. Have a few of them in your pocket and you're ready to perform. The idea is that this item will crunch very well when you bite down on it. So in this case, I have a candy mint or a cough drop or the uncooked macaroni noodle in my mouth. I would now use a simple key card method of tracking the selection. When I give the cards an overhand shuffle, of course, I'm going to spot my key card, in this case the 5 of diamonds, and I will have a card selected. A card is touched by your member of the audience. They remember what that card is, and now as I shuffle off, overhand shuffle-wise, this key card will, of course, go right on top of the selected card when it is returned. I like to shuffle down so that I don't have too many cards here on top. And now I would ask for the card to be returned. You just throw those cards on top, and you're ready to perform. Now, the fact that I know my key card in this case, which will be the 5 of diamonds, the 4 of spades I know is going to be the selected card. So, I continue on from there. I now, of course, doing an acting job on this, I take a few cards off the top of the deck, knowing that I have enough here to make it seem reasonable. And now I just turn these cards over one at a time and do my little biting sequence. When I continue on and I finally get to what my key card is, as I'm going through this biting sequence, when I get to the key card, I know that the next card will be my selected card. As I pick this card up, I merely move the little crunchy bit in my mouth between my teeth, crunch down on it. The sound of that crunch will, of course, cause great surprise in your audience, and it will, of course, cause a laugh as well. At which point you almost act as though you've broken a tooth, toss the selected card onto the table, and there you have it. A card found by the sense of bite. I call that crunch. Well, I have a lady friend in the deck of cards that is going to help us. In fact, I think she's up to her old tricks. We'll see for sure. A gentleman out here to my right, if you would, just reach out, draw out any one of those cards you like. That's a good choice. Please take great care not to let me see the card. Excellent. Very good. Very good. That's perfect. Everybody has seen it at home, though? If you would just drop it right back in the pack. Into the deck it goes. I did tell you about my lady friend. We call her the Gypsy. You didn't happen to pick the Queen of Spades, did you? Oh, wonderful. Let me find her in here. I know she's around in this deck somewhere. Yeah, let's see. Oh, there she is. Excellent. There she is, my little friend, the Gypsy. She is going to whisper in my ear exactly the card you chose. Yep. She says it was a number card. Is that correct? It was a number card?
Yes.
It was a number card. Wonderful. In fact, let me listen again. She says it is a red number card. Mm-hmm. She's correct so far?
Yep.
That little lady can tell me a lot. In fact, let me place her on your hand. If you would just hold out one hand like this. That's perfect. If you listen to her, can you tell what card she's saying? I think she says the 8 of diamonds. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
It is. You know, that's wonderful because I think, as I mentioned earlier, she is up to her old tricks. That Gypsy lady knows an awful lot. I thank you for your kind attention. Well, I think the deck of cards, at least my lady friend here, is up to her old tricks. I'll show you what I mean. That is the introduction to our next mystery. Here's the explanation. What you do is you take the Queen of Spades out of the deck and place her on top of the pack, back here, this being the top of the deck. She is our key card, this time on the top of the pack. Now you would proceed as follows. The cards are spread between your hands, and you offer for the card, a card, to be selected from the deck. It doesn't matter what card it is, as long as they don't pick the top card of the deck. If your audience tries to pick the top card, just tell them, it's okay, I already know what the top one and probably even the bottom one is, so why don't you pull one out of the middle? That's much more random. Usually the audience will just take one from the center anyway. Bring these cards back together. Remember, that is your queen. They remember their card, whatever it happens to be. I now cut the upper half of the pack to the table, and I ask for the card to be returned to the deck. I can now throw individual packs on top of that a little bit at a time, which adds to the random look of what's going on. Remember, the Queen of Spades is in the center of the pack. The selected card is on top of it. So now I square the cards and I say that there is one card in the deck which is the Gypsy, and she will help tell me what your card is. By the way, you didn't happen to pick the Queen of Spades, did you? Of course, the audience will reply no. You say, well, that's good. Let me find the Queen of Spades. Now you take the cards facing toward you and you run down to about the center of the deck and find the Queen of Spades. Now remember, the card right behind it will be the actual selected card. So now you cut the face group of cards to the back of the deck and square them up, making sure, of course, you do not allow the audience to see the Ace of Clubs behind the Queen of Spades. You say, yes, here she is, the Queen of Spades. She will whisper in my ears what your card is. Now, when I spread the cards out to begin with, I caught a glimpse of that card, so I already know that the selected card is the Ace of Clubs. Make sure you know that when you're in this position. I take the Queen of Spades and I would hold the card up to maybe my left ear, and I would act as though I'm listening to her whispering in my ear. I would now reply with, especially if it's a black card, I would say, she tells me that you chose a cherry-colored card. Now your audience will look at you puzzled, of course, because they're thinking red. You listen again and you say, I'm sorry, that's black cherry, correct? So there is a little extra gag that you can use if it is a black card like that. Otherwise, you can say, as you listen, you say, she tells me you chose a red card. When the audience says no, you say, well, it must have been a black one then. Let me listen more closely. So you do get a little bit of a smile out of that presentation. You listen again. Now don't drag this out too long, however. She says it was a club. In fact, I get the strongest impression. Now you pick up two cards. You're going to just pick up two cards like this. This is a rudimentary double lift. And if you need to, all you have to do is lift with your thumb one, seeing the card underneath, and make sure you pick up two. Allow these cards to go together. And there's your double, holding them like this. You turn this pack over in your hand, and you say, the Queen tells me by listening to her, you chose. Turn your double over, pick the card up, set the deck to the side. Remember, they will believe this is the Queen of Spades, but it's actually the Ace of Clubs. Now you lean down toward that card with your left ear and say, I get the impression she says your card is the Ace of Clubs. Is that it? The audience will reply yes, and there's your first revelation. Place the card into the spectator's hand and you say, you know, that gypsy is up to her old tricks again. Watch. I now wave, and when the audience turns over the card in their hand, they will now have a transformation of the Queen of Spades into their selected card. That is the second punch, the second revelation in this nice little mystery. The lady is up to her old tricks again. I do need to have another card selected. That is, if I had any other cards selected beforehand. Well, let's do it this time, at least for the first. If you would, go ahead and draw any card out of there. Excellent. Have I ever seen you before? Oh, let's continue on. I think I'm having a spell is my problem. I will cut the cards into small packs on the table like this, and just go ahead and poke that card in wherever you like. Right there? Well, that's good. Excellent. All I have to do is merely cast a shadow across the cards, and you see your card will turn over magically when I spread the cards. Isn't that incredible? There it is. What's that? That's not your card?
No.
I guess I was right. I think I am having a spell. So why don't I spell the card? Let's see, a 9 of clubs, huh? Let's try that. How about N-I-N-E-O-F-C-L-U-B-S? What was your card?
6 of spades.
That's what I thought. I guess I should have those spells more often. Here's our explanation for, I think I'm having a spell. Here's how we set it up. Take any card in the deck, doesn't matter which one it is, In this case, I'll use the 7 of spades. Now I'm going to spell the cards after it. For example, in this case, I would spell SEVENOFSPADE and forget the S at this point. This pack now goes on the very bottom of the deck. You are now ready to spell to the selected card. That's your setup. Now here you go. You would spread the cards between your hands, ask for the audience to make a selection, and they will. Tell them to make sure they look at their card and remember it. Don't let me see it. The card will now be returned to the pack. I cut about the upper third of the deck to the table, ask them to replace their card, and the bottom half of the pack goes on top of it. Now the selected card is right away from that 7 if I spell 7 of spades. I am now ready to perform the revelation of this mystery. I now make a magical pass. I wave my hand over the cards. I give them a wiggle, whatever you like as that thing that causes the magic. The cards are spread on the table, ribbon spread, or you can spread them between your hands and say, look, there it is, your card. These cards will go off to the side. Once the audience, of course, acknowledges the fact that, no, you were wrong, Mr. Magic, you say, gee whiz, that wasn't your card? Oh boy, I think I'm having a spell here. Wait, in fact, let me spell this card, the 7 of spades. That's SEVENOFSPADES. And there it will be, their selected card. Remember, it doesn't have to be the 7 of spades. It could be any card in the deck that you use to set this up. You just make sure, of course, that whatever that card is, you just set it up to spell. Like in this case, 9 of spades, it would be NINEOFSPADE, and then drop the last one, S. That goes on the bottom of the deck, because you see the selected card will end up being that last letter of the card that we spell. So there you have it. I am having a spell, spelling to the audience's selected card. By the way, I'd like to do a little lie detector test now. Have you ever taken a lie detector test?
No.
Excellent. Excellent. This will be a lot of fun for you, I think. I'll give the cards a shuffle face up. That way you can see they do truly mix. Even a cut face down and one more quick shuffle. And if you would, give the cards a cut, please. And complete the cut. Excellent. Thank you very much. In a moment, I'm going to have you select a card. And you can either lie, L-I-E, or tell the truth, T-R-U-T-H. I spell that out for the children in the audience. Thank you. Let's see. I will spread these cards. If you would, take any one of those cards out of there you like. Please show it to our friends at home. Excellent. And with the remaining cards that I have here, I'd like you to take that card and just drop it back in there. Very good. Somewhere among those cards is your card. The card you are now thinking of and everyone else is thinking of. I'm going now to ask you the name of your card. And remember, you can lie or tell the truth, whichever comes easier. I mean, whichever you prefer. This is your big chance to actually put the cards to the test. Now, every card has a first, a middle, and a last name. The first name of the card is like a queen, or a 5, or a 9, 10, whatever it is. Remember, you can lie or tell the truth. It's up to you. What's the first name of your card, please?
7.
7. I'll spell it out. Watch with me. Ses. That's S-E-V-E-N. Now, every card does happen to have the same middle name of U-V. Sorry about that. OF. I stand corrected, which explains the orthopedic shoes, doesn't it? Anyway, 7 of, let's see, the last name of your card. Clubs, diamonds, hearts, or spades? It's up to you.
Hearts.
Hearts. By the way, do you prefer hearts or heart?
Hearts.
There is a difference of one letter there. Hearts, you said, plural. Hearts. And now the absolute Truth. What is your card, please?
9 of hearts.
The 9 of hearts, ladies and gentlemen. The cards never fail. Let's take a look at our explanation to the lie detector. This is the small pack lie detector mystery. First, you ask your audience. There is no setup on the deck, so it is a standard shuffled pack. They can even shuffle them. You ask your audience if they've ever taken a lie detector test. Now, this is a nice thing. It's a good hook line that grabs them, grabs their attention. So now you continue. I'm going to ask you a few questions in a moment about a card that I'd like you to select. You can lie or tell the truth. Now you spell it out as you say that. You can lie, L-I-E, or tell the truth, T-R-U-T-H. Now what's nice about doing this is that you need 8 cards on the table. And by using that spelling, L-I-E and T-R-U-T-H, I now have 8 cards on the table. So there's a presentational way to get into 8 cards in front of you. I would now spread these cards and ask my audience to take any card they like. There it is. Rest of the deck is placed to the side. Audience remembers their card, whatever it might be. Now, to pull off what I am about to do, I need to get this card replaced 3rd from the top. How I do this is as I have the audience looking at the card, I give them a little bit of an overhand shuffle, mixing them up. I push off 2 cards casually as I hold these cards in a kind of a loose fashion in my left hand. And I'm going to catch a break under the top 2 cards of the pack. Once the audience has finished looking at their card, I now grab with my thumb this little break and I just allow a few cards to drop. I say, if you would, place your card back here in the pack. And what I'm going to do is catch the break. So I now have 2 cards in my hand. Their card is replaced, and it looks as though I have just randomly dropped their card back in anywhere. Once their card goes in, I have 2 cards here, unknown to the audience. I just slap those down on top and drop those on the table. Your audience won't have any idea where their card is in the group. You now ask 3 questions, and these 3 questions concern the name of the selected card. You say, you know, every card has a name, a first, a middle, and a last name. What was the first name of your card? In fact, remember, you can lie or tell the truth, whichever comes easier. I mean, whichever you prefer. So there's a little tagline to go on. Whichever comes easier, lie or tell the truth. I mean, whichever you prefer. So the first name of the card would be a 3, a 4, a 5, a queen, a king, whatever your card is. Mathematically, here's how it's going to work out. I will reverse the card so you can see exactly what happens. Your card is, let's say they lie and say it's a 4. I would spell out 1, 2, 3, 4. Each time you deal these cards onto the table, you throw the rest of the pack on top. I say now every card has the same middle name, of. You can either do OF or OV, is what I usually do. OV, of. You throw the pack on top. By doing that second part, what it does is it automatically puts the selected card exactly in the middle. 4 here, and there is the selected card. You now continue to the last part. The last name of your card, was it diamonds, clubs, hearts, or spades? Now, once again, mathematically, it doesn't matter exactly what they say, except for one footnote on that. But let's say they say diamonds. First I ask, do you like diamond or diamonds? Do you like it plural or singular? It doesn't matter. I'll show you why. Let's say they say diamond. D-I-A-M-O-N-D. I'm still going to throw the rest of the cards on top. Notice, the queen is in the middle. Let's say they said spades. S-P-A-D-E-S. You throw, the card is still in the middle. Here's the only variation on this. If they say clubs, and you ask club or clubs, if they say plural clubs, C-L-U-B-S, it's right here, and then you throw. So it does stay in the middle. Club, C-L-U-B, when I throw the pack, of course, the queen would be on the top. We'll get back to this in just a moment. But in the normal circumstances, you spell S-P-A-D-E-S, you throw, and now you finish off by saying, and now the absolute T-R-U-T-H. What is the name of your card? Of course, this card will be face down, and when you turn it over, bang. Whatever they said the card is, there it is. This works out mathematically perfect every time. Diamonds, D-I-A-M-O-N-D-S. And now the absolute truth. What was your card, actually? The absolute T-R-U-T-H. The Queen of Hearts? I thought so. So you can see how this works out each time. Remember, it needs to go third in. The first time you spell the name, let's say you ask the person's name and your spectator's name is Tom. This works out fine. What was the name of your card? A 4, a 5, maybe the name of your card is Tom. He says, yes, I like that. You say T-O-M, you throw it on top. That works just fine. Remember, the card was the Queen of Hearts. Remember, every card has the same middle name, O-F, of. And what was the last name of your card? Now here's where you do it if they say clubs. You say clubs. Do you like club or clubs? Tom says club, C-L-U-B. And now, the absolute truth. What was the name of your card? The Queen of Hearts? I thought so. So there you have one method of doing the lie detector card trick. Be sure you watch the presentation over a number of times. This will help clarify this explanation. And be sure to experiment and do this. Keep the card turned over when you are working this so you can go through it and check all the variations, and you know that it will work when you do this. The lie detector. Well, I think it's time to have a card selected, if I could employ the help of the gentleman here. Excellent. Very good. Just take any one of those cards. Please take great care in not letting me see the card, of course. Remember it. Show it to everyone at home. Very good. And if you would just drop the card right back in the pack. That's perfect. Now, I'd like you to get a very strong mental picture of your card. First, if you would, think of the color of your card. Excellent. Now think of the suit of your card. Picture that in your mind. Perfect. And if you would now, the value. Terrific. By doing that in that order, of course, I have now gotten a perfect mental picture of what your card is. In fact, let's see. If I just look through the cards here, yes, I'm getting a very strong mental picture. In fact, I get the strongest impression that you chose a black card. It was a club, in fact, the 9 of clubs. Is that correct? No? No. I didn't think so. I thank you for your kind attention. I like to call this, what is he talking about? Because that will be the expression on your audience's face when you do the next revelation. This uses, of course, a simple key card. In this case, we will use the face card of the pack. I like to do an overhand shuffle when I shuffle these cards. And here's how you do it. Of course, overhand shuffle position is as follows. The cards are resting face down in your left hand. You will now pick them up from underneath with the right hand, and you will be drawing them off a little bit at a time as you shuffle the cards. This is the overhand shuffle. It is a very random looking shuffle. Now, here is a great thing. Once you have caught a glimpse of what this key card is, which is easy as you're shuffling, just look down at this steep angle and you will see it. And just a glance is all it takes. Remember, subtlety is important. Don't take a big long look at the card. You don't need that. As you do your overhand shuffle now, these fingers are going to go against that card and keep it there. This is called the milking action. In other words, you are sliding off that 5 of clubs, keeping it there as you draw cards away and throw them onto the top of the pack in a shuffling procedure. Now make sure that your vision is off to the side as you do this. As you shuffle the cards, you are just keeping that 5 there each time you strip it off with your fingers, holding on to it. Okay, that's the preliminary part of this. After you've given them a couple of quick shuffles, you spread the cards between your hands, ask for the audience to take a card out of the deck. They now do. While they're looking at it, you're going to give one more quick shuffle like this, stripping that card and making sure it's there. Once they have now looked at their card, you say, I will have you replace the card wherever you like. This time now you're not going to strip that 5 off. You are just going to pick up the entire group of cards, and your thumb draws off a number of cards like this. You've remembered your card, you ask? Yes, the audience will reply. And then there is the card, in this case the 8 of hearts. You ask for them to replace the card. They do, and there it goes. You ask for the card to be replaced, and there it goes on top of the pack. You now throw all of these cards, there is your key card, and that goes right on top of the selected card. The cards will seem extremely random and very shuffled to your audience without you having to actually verbally say anything. But remember, my 5 of clubs is right on top of their selected card. I would now proceed as follows. I would look at my audience and ask them first to picture in their mind the color of the card. I pretend to concentrate for just a moment and say, excellent. Next, would you think of the suit of your card? Perfect. And now finally, if you would, the value of your card. Excellent. I think now by you thinking of what your card is in that triple procedure, I have a very good picture in my mind of what your card is. I now pick these cards up, holding them toward myself, and all I want to do is catch a glimpse of what their card is. Remember, the selected card will be right in front of my key card. I continue right past, noting what that selected card is. Yes, I have a very good idea, you tell your audience. Now, I know the selected card was the 8 of hearts. I just put the cards on the table, pause for a minute. Let me see. Yes, in fact, I do believe there it is. Now I push that card up without the audience seeing it, and I draw it out and place it on the table. Now you are going to miscall the card completely. This will end up with a nice, humorous result. I would say, whatever that card is, I would say, yes. I get a strong impression you chose a black card. It was a club. In fact, I do believe it was a picture card. The King of Clubs? The audience will look at you with complete disbelief and say, no. You now grab the card and say, I didn't think so, and toss it on the table. There, it almost seems as though the card changes, plus it has a nice comedic result as you say, I didn't think so either, and toss it out. Now the part about what I call this card I just make up. I use a very extreme opposite. Like in this case, since it's a red 8, I would picture a black card, maybe a spade or a club, and definitely a picture card. As you are saying these remarks to your audience, they will look at you, maybe even shake their head. You chose a club, didn't you? And of course they will start shaking their head. You say, yes, in fact, I believe it was a picture card, the King of Clubs, right? Of course, they can't help but say no. I didn't think so, and there is a result. A nice, funny handling using the key card principle. That is, what is he talking about? I'd like to tell you a little story from the Old West, in the days of the cowboys and Indians. I just happen to have 4 cowboys on the table, 4 Indians, and these cards will be the mountain lions in our little story. So here it is out in the Old West. These 4 gentlemen were out one day crossing the desert. As night fell, of course, they moved into 4 caves just on the side of a hill for cover to get out of the elements. Turned out these 4 Indians, these gentlemen, lived in those caves as well. As night fell, they retired for the evening and went into those 4 caves also. Well, there happened to be 4 mountain lions out that night who traveled around and went into those 4 caves as well. About the middle of the morning, sometime very early, there was a thunder and showers. A big storm. This clap of thunder hit, a flash of lightning, everybody could see everybody. They quickly ran out of those caves and bumped into each other and fell into a big pile. As everyone was scrambling to try to find their way around, people were going everywhere. The cats were scaring everybody. They were bumping into each other. They were jumping over each other. The gentleman here, you haven't had a chance to get involved. Would you cut the cards, please? Excellent. In fact, you know, those people and animals ran right in between each other, through and out the other side. Exhaustion suddenly hit the entire group, and they ran back into only 3 of the 4 caves. When the sun came up the next morning, it turned out that all the Indians were together in one cave, all of the mountain lions were together, and all the cowboys were together. Well, what do you know? Let's take a look at the Cowboys and Indians mystery. This is actually the first card trick I ever learned back in the 60s. My dad taught it to me. These 4 kings, I tell in my little story that those are the 4 cowboys. I have 4 tens. These can be either mountain lions in the story or the Indians if you like. And of course we have the 4 aces. So in this case I'll call them, these are the cowboys, the Indians, and the mountain lions. By request. As the story unfolds, and I will deal these cards face up on the table, remember in performance you would deal them face down because all of these backs are absolutely alike. This will add to the mixed up nature of what's going on. But just for the first phase, I will show you these cards dealt face up. The 4 cowboys go into the caves. Now the 4 Indians. You would deal each of these on top. Remember, face down, of course. And now the 4 mountain lions. As the story continues, you tell that there was a loud flash of lightning and a clap of thunder. They all came out of the caves. Now, of course, you tell in your story that there was a loud clap of thunder. This caused everybody to come out of the caves. When you do this, you have to make sure that when you pile these up, you cannot push them together. That would randomize everything. You do need to pick these up in a random fashion, apparently, and it doesn't matter how you pick them up. You just need to pile them on top of each other. Now notice what has happened here. This is called a rotating order. We have 10 ace king, 10 ace king, 10 ace king, so on and so forth. Now, if the cards are cut like this and completing the cut, this will not disturb that rotating order. Face up, you can see that I can cut the cards and mix them. You can even do this part of the mystery face ups, the cards face up during the performance if you like, because it does look random. But you see, cutting the cards does not change a rotating order. King 10 ace, king 10 ace, king 10 ace. all the way down here, and then it continues around in rotation to the next king. So that is a very good thing, whether the cards are cut in the middle or even one card being cut. Now in your patter line, of course, you talk about how the cards, these characters, were bumping into each other, they were jumping over each other. You now even offer the cards to your audience to have them cut the cards. Make sure when you do, you watch the audience carefully that they do actually cut the cards, and then you can complete the cut if you like. Make sure they don't pick up a few cards, quickly they put them back, and they end up accidentally disturbing the order. You do not want that to happen. Now here is a nice touch on this. It looks as though you are going to shuffle the cards, but they really are not shuffled. You pick up about half of these cards and you turn them at a right angle to the pack. My left hand picks these cards up, and I'm actually going to shuffle the cards together. Your patter line is as follows. The cards these characters rather, ran even between each other. Now, when I push these through, you have to make careful and sure that they do pass through. You now regrip, pull them out, and pop them right on top, as if all of these characters ran even between each other. Now you're ready for the finale. You dealt them out into 4 piles the first time. Now you're going to deal them only into 3 piles, telling your audience that they went back into 3 of the caves. Let me deal them face up so you can see what's happening. Because of this rotating order, when you deal them back, they will go back just like magic. All the 10s, all the aces, all the kings, all the Indians, all the mountain lions, all the cowboys, back together. Remember, when you dealt these face down, of course, everything appeared random. And now this is the moment of magical occurrence. You turn these over, telling your audience in the morning, all the cowboys were together, all the Indians, and all the mountain lions. Have fun with this, try it, understand why it works, and enjoy doing it for your audience. I know the reaction you will get will be a terrific one. Ladies and gentlemen, for our next mystery in this extravaganza of card magic, I need to look into the future. And by the way, those of you who are wondering, the future happens to be a little bit over this direction, I do believe. You can adjust your television sets if you need to see that direction, but stay with me if you would. Great, I haven't scared you off. In the future, I see a gentleman over here. If you would approach the table, please. I need your help for this mystery. Excellent. I just happen to have a deck of cards. If you would, give those cards a nice shuffle. Right here, mix them up. I want to make sure that those cards are as randomly mixed as possible. No possible way I could have any connection with those cards other than what you're about to see. Excellent, thank you. Before I continue at this point, I'm going to make 2 predictions of the future. Watch my actions closely, if you would. I'm not going to change the order of the cards. I'm just going to look through the cards and make a couple of simple predictions. Let me see. I think I'll do, well, let's see here. This is kind of difficult. Now, that's a good one. Ooh, there's another good one. How about that? They happen to be side by side. My 2 predictions of the future. I'll leave those there where they do not go out of our sight. I have not altered the order of the cards. I have not done any rearranging of the cards. If you would, please take those cards and just deal a few cards into a pile on the table right here. You see, I don't want to use the entire deck. That would be far too many cards. In fact, why don't you take a few out of the center of the pack? Take a few off the bottom of the pack if you like. I want this to be a really, really random selection of cards. And when you feel you have enough cards on the table there, stop. It's up to you. That's enough? Mm-hmm. Excellent. We'll take these out of play completely. And if you would take those cards and deal them back and forth into 2 piles, please. That's great. Now let's think about this for a moment. You shuffled the cards to your heart's content. In fact, I asked you to do that because I don't want later to say to yourself, gee, I wish I had shuffled those cards, maybe just a little bit more. So you're happy with the shuffle. You've taken cards off the top of the deck, off the bottom of the deck, out of the middle, a number of places. Here they are into 2 piles, dealt by your hand. I have 2 predictions of the future. Let's take a look and see what these 2 cards just happen to be. My goodness, how about that? Yes, I have looked into the future, and as you can see, my predictions match perfectly. Don't tell anyone how you did that. Please keep it a secret, okay? Thank you. Let's now take a look into the future. This mystery is a very strong mind-reading card trick that uses the following technique. You begin by having your audience shuffle and mix up the cards. They can shuffle the cards all they want. In fact, you begin and make sure you say, please shuffle those cards. I want you to be absolutely sure that the cards are truly mixed up as much as you want. Once they have done this and given the cards a lot of shuffles, ask if they are satisfied with the amount of shuffling they have done. Once they are, you now take the cards and you tell them, I am merely going to make 2 predictions of the future. Here is what is going on behind the scenes. Remember, you are emphasizing to your audience that you will not change the order of these cards or stack the deck or move anything around. You are just making 2 predictions. Here's what's going on. As I spread the cards between my hands, I am going to spot the top 2 cards of the pack and note what they are. In this case, a black ace and a red 9. Those are the 2 cards I now want to look for in the rest of the pack. Try to be subtle about how you glimpse these cards at the top of the pack, of course. A red 9 and a black ace. I now continue. These cards are facing myself, and I'm looking for, of course, the other black ace, the ace of spades it would be. I would now place this card to the side. That's prediction number 1. And now I'm going to look for the red 9. Well, it just happens to be here. And I would place that card to the side as well. Remind your audience, of course, that you have not rearranged the order of the cards, have I? No, of course not. I have merely made 2 predictions of the future. You now hand the deck of cards back to your audience, and you're going to ask them to deal some cards as you gesture, one at a time off the top of the deck onto the table. So if you would, please do that. Now, you allow them to deal at least the top 2 cards off onto the table, and now you would stop them and say, wait a minute, go ahead and stop for a moment. I'd like you to pull a few cards out of the middle of the deck, placing them on there wherever you like out of the middle. In fact, why don't you take a few cards off the bottom of the deck? Remember, as I'm demonstrating it here, these cards would be in the spectator's hands. They pull a few cards off the bottom. You emphasize, I want you to get a really random grouping of cards here. That's what your audience will believe. So they put as many cards down. You then ask them, is that enough? Great. Place these cards, the rest of the cards, off to the side if you would, out of play. Excellent. Now here's a quick checkpoint, and remember, these 2 cards over here, my predictions, match the 2 cards at the face here. But your audience just doesn't know that. They, in their minds, believe that this is a random grouping of cards. Plus, they don't know what the revelation is that is about to take place. At this point, you would then reiterate to your audience, you shuffled the cards as much as you liked, and you took cards from the bottom, the middle, the top, everywhere out of that pack, a random grouping of cards. Would you go ahead and take those cards and deal them into 2 piles back and forth? Your audience would now take the cards and just deal them back and forth into 2 piles. Notice that the bottom 2, these last 2 cards, will be dealt on top of those two piles. Now you can give your audience a quick recap. They shuffled, they took cards at random. You have made two predictions. If you now would please turn over the cards, one on top of each of the piles. Your audience will now do this. You are now ready to really get them with a strong revelation. You pick up your two cards, looking at them yourself. You say, how about that? And now turn over one of them, dropping it on the ace, and the other, dropping it on the 9. How about that? Into the future I have looked. Now let's take another quick look at this and back up for a moment. When I am performing this mystery, there are a number of other things that could possibly happen during the course of this. That is the best case scenario. Let's say you have picked up the deck and, for example, you have maybe the 2 red 8s at the top of the pack, like this. What do you do now if those two cards are alike? Well, that's no problem. As you look across these cards, apparently making your prediction, and remember, you don't let your audience see the prediction, you can just spread over to the side and you say, there's one, I'll take that card, and do these actions slowly so it doesn't look suspicious. Now remember, there's the other 8 on top, so you're in a perfect position. It's okay if you take it from this end. Now I'm going to be looking for the red 6. So now I would continue on. As I spot it, I continue to kind of look around it. I think that, no, let's try this one. Yes, that's perfect. So there's one way of handling the fact that maybe there were two cards alike together. Now you would continue. Of course, remember, emphasizing the randomness of this and completely keeping out of your dialogue anything about what is actually going on. They deal cards onto the table into a pile. They take some from the middle, from the bottom, so on and so forth as before. The rest of these cards go to the side. Now here's another possible thing that could happen. For example, let's say they start dealing the cards onto the table like this, and they start doing as follows. What you do need to do is pay very close attention to the audience and how they are dealing them, watching to see where those two bottommost cards end up. If they did, for example, this, I now know that those are my two important cards. So I would ask my audience to then, I would say, if you would just push one of the packs toward me. If they pushed this one toward me, I am ready for my revelation. I would discard these and proceed ahead. If I said, would you push one of the packs toward me, and the audience then pushed this one, I would now take that as if I had meant to do this and drop it away off to the side on the remainder of the cards. Those cards are now out of play, and I would say, here is the remaining pack, and now I would continue for my revelation. That's into the future. Experiment with this. I know you will find it to be one of your best card tricks. It has a terrific effect upon every audience I've ever done it for. I happen to bring two girlfriends with me today. Their pictures are right here on the table. These two queens are going to help us in this next little mystery. As I deal through the cards like this, I would like you to just say stop whenever you feel like it. The decision is up to you.
Stop.
Ooh, right there. There goes one of the ladies into the pack. I'll continue on, dealing quickly to try to get a strong impression from you when to say stop.
Stop.
Right there. Very, very good. You have said stop at two places, which are very easily signified by the exact positions of where I place those ladies into the pack. They are face to face, marking two distinct places. You know, it's going to be pretty incredible because the Queen of Hearts found her sister, the Queen of Diamonds, and, of course, the Queen of Spades. By the way, the rest of these cards, no, they're all different. They're not all queens. How about that? Coincidence or magic? You decide. Now, for our sister's card mystery, you need the 4 queens out of the deck to begin with. You would take a red one and a black one. One of these red ones goes on the face. One of the black ones goes on the top or the back of the deck. You are now ready to begin. These 2 cards, of course, are going to go in my shirt pocket over to the side. I can give the cards a shuffle at this point. Remember, there's a queen on top and a queen on the face. If I did a tabled shuffle like this, I would just make sure that the cards on the right-hand side where the 1 queen is go first, and then I would shuffle, and the last one goes on top. This way it appears as though you've randomly mixed the cards, but of course the top and bottom cards stay in place. So after doing that, you say, oh, by the way, in my pocket I have 2 cards. These 2 ladies are sisters, as you can see. Let's see. Now, you're going to proceed as follows. Remember which one of these is on the face of the pack. That's the red one. So I want the red one on the face of the group here. So you then continue as if you were making this up almost as you go. You would point to somebody and you say, please, how about you, if you would, as I deal through these cards, just say stop whenever you feel like it. As soon as the audience says stop, and it doesn't matter, the red queen of hearts is dropped onto the pack, and the rest of these cards now go on top of that red queen. Take a look, you can see that red queen now goes right on the face of that red queen. You're now ready to proceed for the black queen. Remember where the black queen started. She was on the top of the deck, and that's where you started dealing first. That means now the black queen is right here. You now continue. You would ask somebody over here, would you please say stop as I deal through the cards. Now, of course, they can stop anywhere. Of course, make sure they don't go so far as to run down past this card, of course. You can deal slowly if they seem to really be taking their time. But as soon as they say stop, you do. You now say, we'll place the Queen of Spades, her sister, a marker card, into the deck as well, and mark the position where you said stop. You're now ready for the revelation. You spread the cards wide on the table, pointing out the fact that this is exactly where one person said stop, and this is where another person said stop. And of all the possible places in the deck where they could have said stop, and if you like, you can show all of these cards. You say they must really have psychic powers, because you say you said stop right at the red Queen of Diamonds, and you said stop right at her sister, the black Queen of Clubs. Incredible. Coincidence or miracle? I really don't know, you tell your audience. There you are, the sisters. Here's an interesting phenomenon. It's called You Do As I Do. Well, I'm going to do some stuff, and I need somebody to be you. How about you? That sounds great. If you'd step in here and help me. 2 packs of cards, 1 for you, and of course, 1 for me. Let's see, to make this as fair as possible, would you take the red back cards and just give them a nice little shuffle, mixing the cards. That's perfect. Now, just in case either one of us is a card sharp, why don't we switch decks at this point?
Okay.
You can take the blue ones, I'll take the red ones, and we'll give them a little mixing once again. Perfect. And we'll switch the decks back again. That makes it very fair. I would like you to picture in your mind maybe your favorite card, or just any card if you don't necessarily have a favorite. Okay? But don't let me see the card. I am going to do the same here. Pick up your cards if you would, and kind of run through the pack with them toward yourself, and just draw out any card. Don't even show our friends at home. Just place it face down on the table. Excellent. Would you place the rest of the deck to the side? That's perfect. We have done the same. We have mirrored each other's actions. Remember what your card is, of course, your favorite card. You've got it in mind. Just pop it back onto the top of the deck. That's good. And if you would, cut the cards and complete the cut. In fact, if you would, just do that again just to be safe. Cut the cards and complete the cut. Do you have any idea where your card is in that pack?
No.
Of course not. Neither do I as far as mine is over here. We're going to switch decks again. This is the control in our little experiment. So with the blue deck now, if you would, just look through the cards and draw out the card, which is the card you are thinking of. I have done the same right here. Place that card face down without letting anybody see what that card is. Let's think about this for a moment. We have both shuffled the cards. In fact, we switched decks and shuffled the cards as well. You thought of a card, I thought of a card. We have, in other words, mirrored each other's actions. Grab a hold of that card and get ready to turn it over for everyone to see. On the count of 3. That's 1, 2, 3. How about that? An incredible coincidence or a miracle? You decide. This is one of the all-time great classic card mysteries using 2 decks this time. The cards are already shuffled and we're going to have them shuffled again. What this is a coincidence, a magical coincidence type mystery. Your audience member gets 1 deck of cards, you get a deck of cards. Now this does use the key card principle, and this is important. So please follow closely. I would begin by shuffling my cards. The audience, of course, is freely shuffling their cards. And you want to emphasize this fact. Once we have shuffled our cards, I say, now, I want you to do as I do. Let's switch decks. The cards are switched. I now shuffle your cards, and you get to shuffle mine. This ensures, of course, that the cards are honestly mixed up. Now, at this stage of the game, when I have the audience member's deck of cards in front of me, I am going to catch a glimpse of the bottom card. I can do that in a number of ways. I can, once these cards have been both shuffled, I can just gesture. I say, you're happy with how many times you've shuffled those cards? Excellent. We would now switch the decks back again. So now we have both shuffled the decks, and we are both very happy with that. Your emphasis is on. I now know the face card of his pack. We now continue as follows. I would ask my audience to think of a card. Think of any card in the deck. I will do the same. Now, all it matters is what the audience's card, what they are thinking of. It doesn't matter what I'm thinking of over here, but it seems this way in the presentation. I would tell my audience to do the same as I am doing. Look through your cards and pull out whatever card you're thinking of. Now, I would proceed and just take a card up at random like this. My audience member sees a card sticking up out of the pack, and now they would do the same. Let's say, for example, they pictured the King of Hearts in their mind. If they did that, when they turned the cards over toward themselves, and you are watching them, if that's the card they're thinking of, they would immediately take it off. You now have a miracle in your hands because you already know what that card is that they are holding, and you could proceed by magically divining the card. You would just put that card back down and say, hang on, you're thinking of a card? And now I would merely pull the King of Hearts out of my deck, and now we are ready for a double revelation. That's the best case scenario. But odds are the audience is not going to be thinking of this card. So here's what they're going to do, and you're going to ask them to do. Draw out whatever card they are thinking of and just put it up like this. you are going to be seeing the audience's deck from the back. You would ask them to picture that card deeply in their mind. Pull out the card and place it on the table, and place the rest of the cards on top of their card that they're thinking of. Notice how it goes right next to that card. You as the magician are, of course, doing the same thing, but you are just faking the whole procedure. This is apparently the card I, the magician, am thinking of, and I do these actions which they mirror. Then I want them to cut the cards. They do so. I do so. Then they do so. And now we continue on. I say, let's switch the decks again. Presentationally, I would ask them to now look through my cards and pull out the card they are thinking of. I say, I am going to look through your cards and pull out the card I am thinking of. But that's not really what I'm going to do. I'm going to look for the King of Hearts. I now know that this is the card that they are thinking of. I leave it protruding. Over here, your audience member, they are completely unaware. They would look for their card. That's their card. They think this is my card. But remember the name of this mystery. You do as I do. Since we have mirrored each other's actions, we now have a revelation when we turn these over. Because look, we apparently thought of the same card. Now, of course, you can just draw the card out and place it on the table like this. Put these decks to the side and do it this way and say, grab a hold of your card. This is such a strong moment. They're now holding their card. I say, now remember, you just thought of a card. I just thought of a card. And look, turn your card over, at which point you both do that. And when those two cards are turned over simultaneously, you have an absolute psychic miracle on your hands. This is one of those card mysteries that your audience will remember for a very long time. You do as I do.
Thanks for watching Complete Card Magic Volume 1. Be sure to check out Volumes 2, 3, 4, and 5. Thanks for watching.